All right. Wait, I have the sound on, right? Yep, I do. Good. Whoops. 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 That's what I wanted. Okay. Oh, fuck's sake. Okay. Well, I waited until Bert and Ernie fell asleep. Because Bert was being annoying last time. And now look who's up. Miss Ernie. But she's usually less I don't know, crazy. So we'll see what happens. All right, so we are still in romanticism. We will finish this lecture today, definitely, maybe even start the next one. The next one is the junk drawer of this unit. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's cross-cultural connections. So it's things like that happen during a specific, wait, I can wait and talk about it when we get there. The oxbow. Love the oxbow. Unfortunately, it has come up like twice already, or at least once, but I think twice on the big test. So it's very unlikely to show up again. But at the same time, no, I don't think, I don't know. It showed up in a way that was like, you could pick it. It wasn't like, hey, look at this painting, talk about it. I forgot to post the tests. I'll do that like tomorrow or something. Maybe today, I don't know. Anyway, I gotta just organize them. Anyway, it was like, hey, talk about stuff. And then this would have been like a really good piece to pick to talk about. But okay, who cares? So this was made in Northampton, Massachusetts. There we go. It has a fucking ridiculous name. Everybody is fine with you calling it the Oxbow. That's actually kind of its nickname because it's really called View from Mount Holyoke, Northampton, Massachusetts, after a thunderstorm, which is so like, dear Mr. Thomas Cole. So they just call it the Oxbow. It is called the Oxbow because this kind of bend in a river, like you can't see where it goes, but it just keeps going, is called an oxbow. Because I should like actually put a picture in here, but it's too late and it's unlikely I'll ever teach this class again. So if you think of like old-timey farmers, and when they have oxen plow fields, they put this big thing, like a big, I don't know, harness on the oxen that then hooks up to the plow, and that's called an oxbow. And that kind of looks like it because it's, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. And so this is, I don't understand the geological reasons that an oxbow like this occurs. I don't know why a river does this, but it does. Sometimes this is like a common thing and they call it an oxbow. Okay, great. So here it is. First of all, Thomas Cole, he actually was British. So he moved to America and liked America, and stayed there and was, I mean, like some people consider him like an American artist and some people are like, no, he's a British artist. It doesn't really matter, but like, he kind of falls into the category of like American art. Now this is our first, is it? You'd think I know by now, but I think this is our first Western landscape. I think I get confused because like I showed you a couple landscapes when we were doing Baroque, but we don't have one. So this isn't the first Western landscape, but this is our first in this class. And it, I think we've kind of gone over this before. It took a long time for the West to be like, yeah, landscapes are dope. And so here we are finally looking at a dope landscape. And this one is really dope. You'll see, it's, oh, I love this piece. I love it. Okay, so. Okay. I feel like I thought I was gonna say something else, but no, I guess not. I don't know. Anyway, here we are. So we've got this oxbow here. Okay, great. You've got what looks to be kind of farmed land. I'll show you some close-ups in a minute, but like you can see, you know, it's not forest, and you can already, even from this distance, see that, like, you know, the land is kind of squared off, right, in different plots for, you know, growing different things or grazing different animals or whatever. There are even little, again, I'll show you some close-ups, but like there's little plumes of smoke from like chimneys of houses or farms or I don't know what. So we have that, but then over here, you know, we have forest, basically. Some pretty wild forest. And we know that there was just a thunderstorm from the title, the really weird long title, but also like we can see the remnants of the thunderstorm here. And, you know, there are even some like broken, you know, here's a broken tree and a broken branch and, you know, pretty good thunderstorm. Hey, it rained here a couple of days ago. That was fun. Did it rain in LA? It rained here in Long Beach all day. Actually, I got sunny in the afternoon and then it rained again. Focus, Julio. So yeah. Okay, so here's the cool part. And this is always more fun when we're in person or even online, but like when you're all here. But this isn't just like, oh, pretty landscape. This is essentially a metaphor, an analogy. You've got the farmed land over here, okay? You've got this wild land over here, right? This whole thing, sorry, like a little thing just popped up on my computer. Please go away. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Okay, it wants me to update stuff. I don't want to update stuff while I'm doing a lecture. Sorry. This whole piece is about manifest destiny, which I just love. Like, I love that you're like, oh, what a nice little landscape, and then it's manifest destiny. So if you don't know, manifest destiny was this idea in the 1800s, early 1800s. When was this piece done? Okay, early to mid 1800s. I don't know. You guys know I don't even know when trains were invented. But anyway, manifest destiny was this idea that, like, in the United States, God had like ordained the colonizers to expand westward and you know, and conquer the indigenous lands and expand the United States, right? I don't know what year the Louisiana Purchase is, but like Louisiana Purchase is a big part of this, right? That basically like doubles the size of America. And people are like, we gotta keep going. God wants it. I don't know what their proof was. I hope that's, I don't know if there was proof or if people just like, yeah, they must have, I don't know what their reasoning was. Hopefully you learned about that in Miss Molina's class, because clearly I'm not going to tell you. But people are like, no, God wants us to go like kill all these indigenous people and ruin the land and like, you know, or swindle them out of it. God wants it. Okay, so the question here is, for this piece, was Thomas Cole pro or anti I keep wanting to say divine intervention. That's not it. Manifest destiny. I really like, my brain keeps wanting to be like divine I mean, whatever. Anyway, how did Thomas Cole feel about it? Was he pro or anti manifest destiny? So take a second, maybe pause if you want some extra time to think. Okay. I'll give you a hint. He was a white man. He was pro. He was very much pro manifest destiny. Not, I mean, like, I don't know if there were people who were anti. Well, I mean, like, you know, Euro-American people who were anti manifest destiny, but he's very much pro manifest destiny. And the way that we see that come through in this painting really has to do with, number one, the storm. Okay. And that the remnants of the storm are over the wild foresty part of the painting, right? That, like, you know, storms are bad, right? You don't want crazy ass storms. Right, like, you need to like shelter from them, you need to prepare for them to survive them. And then here we're equating this, you know, wild untamed wilderness with this crazy untamable storm. Okay, whereas like all the lovely little farmed bits are under, you know, clear lovely skies. Oh, I wonder if you could even pull like a light of God. I feel like you probably could. So he's pro manifest. He's pro divine intervention. Anyway, let's look at some details, because guess what? Thomas Cole is precious, except being pro manifest destiny, and he put himself in here. So first of all, here's how big it is. Nice big landscape. So here's like the broken tree. Maybe that's the rest of it. I don't know. There he is. So cute. Here, I'll show you where he is. He's right here, right there. And then in just a second, I'm also going to show you his little chair and umbrella. So there he is. Isn't he precious? I just think that's so adorable. Oh, okay. I'm going to show you his chair in a minute. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, here's the farmy land, right? So you can see it's all plotted out. We've got, I don't know, sheep there. Here we can see the little bits of smoke coming up from farms or whatever. Some like hay bales, you know, real nice with trees on the borders of all the plots. Very cute. I forgot it's so, I just, aside from the manifest destiny part of this, like, I just love the little details. I love cute things. I'm like a big fan of like miniatures and doll houses. Okay, anyway, so here's like a barge, right? Someone has, oh, excuse me, the job of running a barge. But you know, it's pretty common until like you can get, you know, because we're not necessarily in an era yet where like a city is going to build a bridge, you know. So that's gonna, so a lot of the time someone will just have a barge, and so you've got, I love this little horse like galloping away. Where did he come from? I don't know, because like the barge is already free. I just love it. Okay, here's the two halves of the sky. Happy half, sad half. There's his little chair, and it even says T. Cole on his little portfolio there. And then here's a little bit of his easel. So precious. Oh, that's all I'm showing you? Okay. There's one more thing we got to talk about. I have to bring it up, but like most art historians are like, no. But you can see on this hill, that there are these like weird patches of color. So at some point someone was like, that looks like Hebrew. Um and but like, okay, maybe, but I guess it doesn't say anything. So even if that were okay, if that were true, the idea is like, sorry, I can't drink coffee anymore. And I also got put on a new medication which has a side effect of drowsiness. So they're like, please just be tired all the time. And I all day long can't stop yawning. So anyway, sorry if I keep yawning. Hebrew. If it were Hebrew, right? If College Board's like, talk about the Hebrew, then the Old Testament written in Hebrew, right? So it's like, it's still like good God stuff. Good God stuff. All right. So let's look at some other Thomas Cole things. I really do enjoy his stuff. So I don't know what this is. The course of empire destruction. I don't know what this might be. Rhodes, I guess, because isn't that like the Colossus of Rhodes? And that makes sense. And Rhodes was destroyed. The subsiding of the waters of the deluge. Deluge is like a flood. Beautiful. Thomas Cole's stuff. This is like the one time I'm going to bring it up. So a lot of his stuff they're known as pastorals, especially like this, and also our piece. Okay, I'm not going all the way back to our piece, but they're known as pastorals because it's like landscapey, like think like pastoral. And pastorals are often, remember I said like I wasn't going to talk about these, but this is the one time I will. This is that term sublime. That sublime is a term we use to talk about his pieces, that there's this like intangible something here. So anyway, I don't know. If you weren't sure if he was pro Manifest Destiny, the Course of Empire, the Savage State, and you have like indigenous people here, so like you have little teepees or whatever. So yeah, if you ever hear people describe indigenous people as savage, they're anyway. Okay, this is not Thomas Cole, but Thomas Cole was part of this group called the Hudson River School. It wasn't a real school. This is sort of like how Vermeer was part of the Delft School. We use school instead of like the word group or something, or like club. But yeah, there are these guys, I think it's all guys, who were part of the Hudson River School, and they painted really similar things. Lots of landscape, lots of like sublime, landscapey, pastorally things. And they were based around the Hudson River, or near the Hudson Rivers. That's like New York, right? I don't fucking know, actually. But yeah, so they're kind of like East Coasty. But then a lot of them eventually like go out to the West Coast. But here's Niagara. I forget, like Niagara wouldn't be like a cool thing to you guys, but like it's close enough to Michigan, because you can just drive through Canada, right? Because it's like part of it's in Canada and part of it's in New York, and so like that's a very common like weekend trip for people in Michigan to go see Niagara Falls. But yeah, like what do you guys care? I love this one. This one really gives that sublime, right? Again, it's like this intangible like awe. So here you go. California, this one's for you guys. Last one was for me. This one's so good. There are definitely I don't know why this is like a thing for me, but I just find it so incredible when there are like paintings and you could take little portions of it and be like, I could be confused and think it was a photograph. I enjoy that. This one's kind of blurry, but here's another one. Okay, cool. Yes, I think we only have two more. The slave ship. So, um, here it is. This one also, two in a row, has this incredibly long name that nobody calls it. So it's called Slavers Throwing Overboard the Dead and Dying Typhoon Coming On, but we call it Slave Ship. This is Turner. They did a movie somewhat, I don't know, within the last 10 years now, maybe. They did a movie about him. I never saw it. Sorry. And the guy who played Turner, it was the same guy who plays Peter Pettigrew in Harry Potter. Maybe I'll watch that. Who knows? Anyway, so Turner, very famous. But also he has four names, and we just call him Turner. Okay. Hold on. What year is this? 1840. Okay. So my doctors also were like, don't take naps. It'll be really bad. Like, be tired and don't take naps. Okay. So slave ship. This is a horrifying painting, actually. This is I want to Google it. This is at least around the time. I can't tell you for sure what time. This is around the time. I actually think it's after, or maybe like, wait, is it in my notes? I have no notes on this page. It's not in my notes because I have zero. God. All right. This is around the time when England I'm so sorry. Outlaws slavery. Okay, England does it before the United States does it. And we all know how well it went in the United States. It went a lot better in England, which isn't to say that they don't also still have problems with racism. But they didn't have like an entire war about it either. So, okay. So I can't remember if this is like just after they outlawed or like right before, but it's around the time. Okay. So like people are thinking about slavery. Um, anyway, here's a ship. And I'll show you some horrifying close-ups, but like there are like hands reaching up out of the water. There's like a leg, but you'll also be able to see like shackles. And what's happening here, and if you remember, the title is like Slavers Throwing Over the Dead and Dying. So don't ask me like even what kind of sense this makes, but slave ships would most of the time have insurance, right? Just like, you know, you have insurance for your car, you have insurance for your house, whatever. So a boat would have insurance. Okay. I mean, all boats would have insurance, right? If you're shipping spices, you insure the spices so that like if mostly it's like if the ship sinks, you know, then you spend all this money on those spices, you can get that money back, or at least some of that money back. So slave ships did this as well, except the cargo that slave ships have are people. And for whatever reason, the rule was, or you know, like a lot of the insurance companies, if the ship sank, I think it's because of like a natural, you know, like a typhoon or something. you couldn't, wait, hang on. Oh, no. It's like if something happens to the ship and because of whatever happens, like some of the slaves die, but when you like pull into port, they're not still alive, they're dead. They're still on the ship. They won't pay for them. And essentially the reasoning, and it's horrifying, is like, well, they were defective. They like couldn't survive the journey, which is like really gross, especially since like they were often starved, or like always starved. And so what would happen is if something like a typhoon were coming and you thought people were going to die on the ship anyway, and by people I mean the slaves, you would throw them overboard, so that when if your ship pulled into the harbor, then you could claim them as part of your insurance, whatever. So yeah, horrifying. Super, super horrifying. There's, I mean, like, I think we forget how near this kind of history is to us, but like there are banks right now, that were in existence at this time that would insure slaves, including northern banks. It wasn't just like southern banks. It's the big New York bank. I don't know. But anyway. So use credit unions. No, kidding. But actually, I'm not kidding. Credit unions are way better. Don't get me started on it. Okay. So that's what we're seeing here. So Turner was, I don't know if we go as far as like saying he's an abolitionist, but he was like, hey, this slavery shit is fucked up. Like, get rid of it. And also, let me show you what they did on the ships. It'd be one thing if I could be drinking coffee. So let's look at some close-ups. Oh, no. Here it is. Okay, there's the ship. Nobody knows what this thing is. Like every year, someone in my little Facebook group of art history teachers is like, what is that? And we're all like, It's something they threw over, like also if you have a typhoon coming, maybe you're going to get rid of just like extra crap you have on deck. So yeah. Oh, give you a close-up of this thing we don't know about. Okay, so here you can see people's hands coming out of the water. You can see what you call it, the like shackles that were on them. There are birds flying down, like birds always know when there's going to be like scraps for eating. There are like fish coming in. Here is like someone's leg and there's like a fish frenzy. I don't know what. There's a bunch of fish going nuts. And in fact, there's like a, you can't see it because I think I'm going to show it to you right now. There's like this giant fish like coming in. This is still kind of an era. It's right here. It's this giant fish. This is still, remember, like we've seen dolphins and they don't look like dolphins. There's a real chance like some of these are supposed to be sharks and like people just don't know what, like I think this one looks like a pig. It also looks like he's looking at me and I don't like it. I think this one looks like a dog. So does this one. I see a dog here, and a pig here. So there's that crazy fish coming in. Here, so again, we have this like sublime kind of thing happening. But okay, yeah. Turner, and I'll like remind you of Turner when we start our next unit, but Turner is seen, I know I've mentioned this before, like with Velasquez, that he is seen as like a very early precursor to the Impressionists, but Turner is as well, and he's not as early as Diego Velasquez. But part of what's going on with Turner is that he's actually going blind. And so I think I go backwards in time with these. I can't remember, but you'll see that like, hold on, 42. Oh no, I go forward in time. Okay, well, I don't know. Here's a train. Oh, 39. So now we've gone back a little bit. Okay, maybe I am going backwards. Maybe I actually messed up. But this is a lot clearer. Like we can see all these details on the boat and the little tugboat. Here again, very detailed, as opposed to, you know, even just a couple years later, like this and like this, where like it's actually sort of hard to pick out, especially with this one, like what's going on. And it's just straight up because he was going blind. And so he kind of like accidentally it becomes a precursor to the Impressionists because he's going blind, which is like so interesting and funny, and not funny, but like dark humor funny. So very weird. Okay. The Palace of Westminster. We're gonna do this one quickly because like I don't fucking know why it's in here. Okay, so we're in London. I don't know if any of you have been there, but it's like here on the Thames. Hey, look, there's the Tate Modern. Okay, so Buckingham Palace, Tower of, I didn't realize the Tower of London was that far away. Okay, look at this later, Julia. Oh, the British Museum. Okay, I'm gonna look at this later. Here we go. So yeah, it's this thing. It's this building that has Big Ben. Yeah, it's in the 250 very randomly. There's like, we'll look at some of it, but we actually do this one pretty quickly because it's just about the fact that it's Gothic revival. That's like what's important, really. You know, it's crazy. I am rewatching Downton Abbey right now. And I don't know if they just made this up or if it's true of the actual little like castle that's in Downton Abbey. But in like 2 episodes ago, I was watching it and someone asked like, oh, who was the architect of Downton Abbey? And the woman was like, oh, it's Charles Barry, you know, he did the Houses of Parliament. And I was like, what? So I need to look that up. I should have looked it up, but anyway, maybe that guy also, you know, it is a very similar style now that I look at it. It's incredibly similar. I mean, like they're both Gothic revival. I'm gonna look that up. I'll let you know next time. Hey, let's pick a secret word. I need my little business card. Keep writing the secret words on. Let's do Downton. Here, I'll even, in case you don't know. Downton. It's not downtown. It's Downton. So. And if you've never watched it, I highly recommend it. I love it. Almost done with the whole thing. Ooh, but that new, I can't remember what it's called. Something about the moon. I don't know. It's got Oscar Isaac in it, and I'm very excited, and that comes out today. So maybe I'll watch that after this. Anyway, pumped. So anyway, Charles Barry and Augustus W.N. I always say Pugin. I don't know. I have no idea if that's how he wants it pronounced. But anyway, Barry and Pugin. Always it's like pugging, which sounds like something little pugs do. We should pugging around. Okay. They designed this thing. Let's talk about it. Okay, it's got this interior shot, great, blah, blah, blah. Also, we have this fucking stupid thing. And then they don't require this, but I'm showing it to you. Here's what's going on. This room, which doesn't look like it's in the same style as this room because it's not, Westminster Hall, that's, oops, I forgot I'm not in the highlighter. I always do that. That's this part. And do you see how this part, number one, is like a different color than the rest of this? But number two, is at a different angle? So this is from the original structure, the original Westminster Palace. Okay. And at the time, long time ago, that's like where the king lived. Or queen. I don't know if any of the queens lived there. I don't know. Anyway, it burned down. But that hall survived. And so they rebuilt it and they left that because, you know, they were like, oh, whatever. So that's why this looks so much older. This was like, oh, you guys never watch Game of Thrones, but any kind of like old-timey medievally, I know Game of Thrones isn't real, but whenever it's like, oh, we're in the great hall and like the king or like the lord or whatever sits somewhere and then like people come to talk to him, like that's what this room was. So, but I don't know if we're gonna look at it again because I don't really care. Okay, so Gothic revival. Why they don't call it neo-Gothic, I don't know, and it really bugs me, but they don't. So in 1836, they were like, we are going to, rebuild Westminster because it burned down. And so they put out a competition. And they were like, make a design, architects, but you have to do it in one of two styles. You either have to make it look Gothic or you have to make it look Elizabethan. So clearly one of the queens lived in the original Westminster because Elizabethan, we name it after Queen Elizabeth I. Anyway, so, you know, so there. And it says here at the bottom, they were like, you can't do neoclassical, which was popular at this time because it was so associated with France and America, which had just had revolutions. And they were like, we dare not make people consider having a revolution, which I find very funny. Anyway, so Barry and Pugin do Gothic. Okay, they're like, we want it to look very Gothic-y. Now, like if we tried to design something right now that was Gothic, we couldn't call it Gothic, okay? Because for something to really be Gothic, it has to be from the Gothic era. So we also like wouldn't do things in the same way. So we call it Gothic revival, just like, I mean, granted, neoclassical, well, same thing, right? Like with neoclassical, we're not going to call it classical because they have little differences. And yeah, okay, so why do I care about Notre Dame? I don't know, because this is Gothic. Am I showing you some Gothic stuff? Yeah, I'm showing you some Gothic stuff again. I don't know, here's Cologne. Okay, great. Why did they want to go with like oldie time styles, aside from like they didn't want to do neoclassical because of revolution? Well, here's what London used to look like. Cute, lots of church steeples. And then around that time, this is what London looked like. So we're like heading into the Industrial Revolution, and especially along the rivers, especially the Thames, you have people building all these factories, okay? Because having a factory on the river is really, really beneficial because you just unload your product or you bring in your materials on boats. So, you know, very convenient. And people were really starting to, you know, it's so funny. It's just like Downton Abbey. They're in Downton Abbey. They're like, oh, I can't believe we can't have an under butler any longer. Because like the times are, granted, that's in like the 1920s. Wasn't that a good British accent I just did? I tried very hard, but yeah, they're getting rid of their under butler. Actually, I'm in a really sad episode about the under butler. He's like kind of evil, but he has this place in my heart. Because sometimes he does really nice things. And also he's gay. People tell him he's disgusting, and yeah, I feel so bad for him. Ugh. Anyway, but he's also like pretty bad. Focus, Julia. So people are like, oh, the Thames is bloody awful. I don't know. People are like, everything looks so terrible. Let's make things look old and pretty. And so Pugin and Barry are like, okay, we're gonna make it look like it's Gothic, but it's gonna be kind of new. So this includes Westminster Palace and Westminster Abbey, which is right next door. And it's the churchy part, but we're not really gonna look at the Abbey. So here it is, it's right on the Thames, really beautiful. It has all these towers, little ones, big ones. Right here's Big Ben. Okay. I don't know why they call it Big Ben. You can like Google it, it doesn't matter. It's like something weird. It's like not about the clock, it's about something else. I don't know, whatever. So here it is. Okay, so Gothic revival. So it has all these little elements of Gothic architecture. Again, it's got a lot of like, right? It looks like a wedding cake, right? We said Gothic architecture is like a wedding cake, that it has all these little like spindly decorations on it, right? If we think back to like Romanesque, there's none of this like decorative-y bits. You know what I'm saying? Like this would just be flat, right? All this would be flat. We have the tracery on the windows, if you remember. We talked once about like plate tracery and bar tracery. That doesn't matter, but just tracery, right? Like having little bits of stone over the windows, very pretty. Instead of just having like, tank, tank, like, I'm a little tiny tower. It's got all these little, from here, it just looks like kind of like bumps, right? But again, it's almost also kind of like those drippy castles, sand castles. It's just like got zhuzh. Yeah. Okay, it's really close to the river. Right, you got little like some carvings in here, some people. I don't know who those people are. You got some security cameras. Just kidding. Let's just look at some pictures of it. Real nice. Real nice. Real nice. Real nice. Okay. 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 Okay, actually, let's go back. There's Big Ben. There's something missing from this that we would expect to see on a Gothic structure. I'll give you a second. Pause if you want more time to think. Maybe. Yeah, this is also a good shot. There's something missing that we would want to see on a Gothic structure. And the answer in 3, 2, 1, buttressing. Where's the buttressing? Well, they don't have it. A couple of reasons. Reason number 1, they've just gotten better making buildings, so they don't necessarily need it. But number 2, if you think about, you know, Notre Dame or Chartres Cathedral, they have big open interior spaces. This is more like a regular building, right? We can see here, like this thing has, I don't know, 3 or 4, I don't know where the floors are. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. It has floors, okay? And it has rooms inside. All that stuff inside, having floors, having rooms, that gives it stability. It's like an interior skeleton. We don't have that in churches and cathedrals because they want this grand, big open space with no support, right? And so you have the weight like coming down and out. And so you need the buttressing to hold it in, but this doesn't need it. Doesn't need it. Real cute. Big Ben. Real nice. Real nice. So look, the big takeaway here is like, they have this little era when they're like, we want to do old timey stuff again. And so like, this is what that looks like. It's really similar, but has some big differences. Okay, now we'll look at a couple things inside. So there's this central lobby. That's this room. Okay, real nice, real zhuzhy. We don't care. Okay, again, the part that didn't burn down. Here's Obama. We used to have this goal that, you know how like Lin-Manuel Miranda, he always like the day of the APUSH test like tweets about it, and he's like, I've done all I can for you, good luck. And we were like, we want Obama. And so we tried to find as many pictures of things in the 250 with Obama as possible. So here, I know we have this one, I know we have Stonehenge, I can't remember what else we have. Here's some more stuff that's real nice. Sometimes you see this on TV because they do stuff. This is like where the Lords, I don't know, this is like where Parliament does stuff. But then there's also this one with the green seats. I think it's sort of like how we have the Senate and the House, like, I don't know. The Queen's robing, I don't know what she does in here. Anyway, real pretty. Hey, we finished that lecture. Okay. How much time have we done? Not enough. So let me pause this and get the next lecture ready, and then we'll continue. Okay, so my iPad is being weird and it's like not letting the new lecture download. It's not even like hooking up to whatchamacallit, iCloud. So I'm doing this from the computer, and I feel like once I looked at a recording and I could see the mouse, but I remember from last year when I would do recordings for the kids, the mouse wouldn't show up. And so I couldn't use it to like point out stuff. And the reason I do it on the iPad is because I can use that little fake laser pointer. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to just not, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so sorry, wait, go back. There we go. This is the last part of this lecture, or of this unit. Cross-cultural connections. Like I said, it's a junk drawer. Basically, it's things that fit time-wise somewhere in this last unit, but like I couldn't make it Baroque because it actually happens like in South America. And so things that are happening, so you can't say that it's, you know, either Southern Baroque or aristocratic Baroque or bourgeois Baroque, because those have very specific geographical locations. So we just throw them in here, and like none of these are really going to have like a period associated with them. Okay, sorry. Here's some examples of things that like every year I'm like, should I make this cross-cultural connection, just to show you like, or like remind you, because I know for some of these, like I've brought it up in the past, but to also just give you kind of an idea with pieces we've already learned about, like what we're talking about. So with something like Bahram Ghor Fights the Karg, we talked about how the Mongolian Empire, like coming in and being in charge, like had a real effect on these pieces. Same with Court of Gayumars, and same with Jahangir with the Sufi Sheikh, because remember, this is like the Bijutur is Hindu, but we're talking about like Islamic art, so that's tricky. But then also something like this, where you're like getting inspiration from like ancestral Puebloan work and incorporating that, but also incorporating things like Art Deco designs. Same with this, right? Using Shoshone traditions and styles and techniques, but in a really fake way for Euro-American tourists. Same here with the Lenape, traditional Lenape style technique, but with European materials. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of our stuff's from Mexico. Okay. What did I, don't remember moving my phone over there. The frontispiece of the Codex Mendoza. Here we go. Mexico. So here it is. We don't know who drew this, so we just say Aztec. Um, but okay, pause that if you need to write stuff down, but I'm moving on. Okay. I really wish I knew what slides were coming next. So here it is. Okay. What's a codex? A codex is a book. It's a book. It's a book like we think of a book. So yeah. So, and frontispiece means it's like the first page, basically. Okay. Oh, I really do want the notes from this because I'm gonna forget. iCloud Drive is still loading. Fan-fucking-tastic. Okay, well, I don't have access to my notes. But anyway, okay. The viceroy, so the patron, and that's why we call this the Codex Mendoza, because it's this viceroy, Antonio de Mendoza, and a viceroy is like a governor, because any political position that I don't know what it really is, I just say it's like a governor. But Spain is running Mexico. So this really shouldn't say post-colonial, it should just say colonial, but that's okay. So Spain's in charge of Mexico. They call it New Spain. They don't call it Mexico yet. And the viceroy, the governor who's there, he has this book made for the king, for King, I want to say it's Charles. One of the Charleses. But again, I don't have my note. I don't know why I just said note. Whatever. So basically, he has this book made. It is really precious if you think about it. He's like, he gets some Aztec artisans to make a book that like explain their daily life and explain things about them and their history and blah, 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 blah. It's like, I think of it as like, and it kind of looks like a little eyewitness book. I don't know if you guys just, I don't know if they still like do those or if they're still popular, but Eyewitness was huge when I was younger. Okay. So this page is the first page. And so, oh man, I really need the laser pointer. iCloud Drive is still loading. Okay, well, whatever. I can just describe things and use the close-ups. Okay. First of all around the border, that's writing. Right, that's writing. So whoever made this, whichever Aztec person made this, that's what they wrote. You can see little bits of what looks like European writing, because honestly, I think it is in Spanish, because I see like Pueblo, although that, is that an actual Spanish word, or is that like a Nahuatl word that, you know what, I don't know. But anyway, it's obviously written in like our alphabet. Okay. That was added by, I think, like a Spanish speaking priest who also knew Nahuatl. So this like Spanish speaking priest, I think he was a priest, doesn't really matter. Some Spanish speaking guy who also spoke Nahuatl worked with the artist who did all this and was like, what's that? And then would like write it in so that the king could read it. So yeah, so the top part, that's like the square with what looks like an X going through it, that's Tenochtitlan. That's Mexico, what's now Mexico City. Maybe you remember from when we did our Aztec stuff, the city was split into 4 quadrants. So that's what we've got going on here. Remember, it was like built on a lake. And I don't know if we talked about this myth or not. But the myth was that like when the Aztec people, when the Mexica came to this area, like it had been foretold that they would see an eagle on a cactus, like with a snake. And so like, oh my God, there it is. We're right with a snake. I think with a snake. And so like, oh, there it is. And then you have all these important people around. I can't remember who they are. I think they're like old emperors or stuff. And you can tell who each of them are because I think you can kind of see like, and I'll give you some close-ups in a minute, but it's like a person with what looks like a big bib around them or something. But then like with like a little string almost attached to their head, there's like some kind of little insignia. Like one of them, like all the way on the right, the lower guy, it's like a foot with an arrow through the ankle. Dope. And so that tells you like who those people are. One of these people, where are they? Oh yeah, that guy is a priest, and you can tell because his skin is a different color. But we'll look at that in a close-up. And then right under the eagle, right under the cactus, looks like a pizza. That is the like sign of Tenochtitlan, of the Mexica. And so then when we look at the bottom part, what's happening is we're seeing battles between the Mexica and other groups. And we've got some really cool hierarchical scale going on because you can see that the two people with the what looks like a shield, right, that has that same symbol of Tenochtitlan, of the Mexica, they're bigger, they're winning. So that's cool. Okay. So yeah. Remember this? That's what this is like. Remember? Remember this? Remember this? Remember this? That's all Aztec. So here we go. So here's that front page. And then it has writing from that priest or whatever. Okay. Now this, remember, I was like, I think it's King Charles. I still think it's King Charles because, get ready, when this was getting sent, you can't see the last part, France, that's the important thing, because this was made by, I should have moved it at the beginning. Okay, it doesn't matter. So when they, after this had been made and they like put it on a ship back to Spain, French pirates intercepted it and they stole it. And then whoever stole it, this cosmographer, like wrote on it and was like, here you go, King Henry. And so I don't know if it ever ended up getting to King Charles. I don't know which Charles it was. I feel like it's King Charles, like the last one, who like couldn't speak or eat because he was so inbred. I think it's the Habsburg Charles. I don't know. It might not be. There we go. So here's some close-ups, right? Here's that guy with the foot. So if you look at the eagle and then you look just to his left, one of the figures has like gray skin. That's the one who's the priest. Also to the right of the eagle is what looks like a spit with a skull on it, and it is. It's not a spit, but basically, yeah, there's a skull there. It's like the skulls of their enemies or something, and they would like put them on these weird shelfy things. There's some more guys. That's cute. There's the eagle and the thing. Okay, great. There's the people at the bottom. So we can tell the other guys, the guys who lost, by their different shields, but also the things, this is so hard to do without a laser pointer, those weird things that aren't the people, it's like two symbols, and you can see that the first symbol is the same. It actually kind of looks like a stepped pyramid, right? And that means like it's a city. Okay, and then the next thing, the first one has a curlicue and the other one just kind of looks like a blob. That tells you like who it is. Okay, so it's like, right, and you can even see in the Spanish, it's like something Pueblo, something Pueblo. So yeah, okay, cool. And now I'm going to show you some other pages. Here's this, I don't know what's going on. Some other cities again, I don't know. Okay, here's some, this is boring. Oh, but look, up at the top, I wish I had the laser pointer. You can see someone getting kicked off. Templo Mayor, right in the center at the top. Whee! these are the kinds of clothes we wear. So this is what I mean by it's like an eyewitness book. It's like sometimes we wear a jaguar outfit. Sometimes we wear these pretty necklaces. Sometimes, I don't know what else. Oh, look at these polka dot mittens. Those aren't mittens. I don't know what those are. But it was all like, hey, this is what our stuff looks like, and here's what it is. It's really precious and also terrible. Because, you know, if we think back to like those themes, obviously this is cross-cultural connection, like the whole little sub lecture is called cross-cultural connection, but also colonization, right? And if we think about it, when we think back to the things we had that were Aztec, Templo Mayor, the carvings, the headdress, we didn't have paper, we didn't have drawings, right? This would not have happened, like this would not exist if it hadn't been forced to, you know, if the Aztec person making it hadn't been forced to make it. So that's something important to keep in mind. Oh, leopard skins, that's cute. And some dead birds. What time is it? Oh, it's been like an hour. Really have to pee. Okay, hang on. We're gonna pause, but I will do one more. Hang on. Oh, okay. I think we'll do maybe just one more, although this one's very quick. Come on. So we'll see. Maybe we'll do two more. I don't know. Did you wake up? You look cranky. Ernie. Oh, one of you just joined Remind. I'm actually gonna send you guys a funny thing in Remind today. Okay. Here we go. Oh, yeah. So like technically we're in Bolivia, but like this is before Bolivia is a thing. So like we're actually really in Peru. Which is just great because again, we have nothing from South America that isn't from Peru. Here it is. Okay, just trying to, I don't know if that mouse will show up or not. This is the angel with arquebus. The angel, like all the angel, you know, angels have names. And so this angel's name is Aziel, and then Timor Dei, that is Latin, and it means the fear of God. Okay, so I freaking love these paintings because I think they're hilarious. Okay, so excuse me. So this was made by this guy that we call the master of Calamarca. And that's a city, but he was part of the La Paz school. Again, it's like all these artists who we could have called them a group or a club or whatever. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay. Freaking love this. So this was really popular at the time. Again, I wish I could look at my notes because I don't know what date this law came into play that I need to talk about. But anyway, so at around this time, but like before this time, the Vatican made a rule, and I do not know why they made this rule. And I have actually tried to look it up, and like nobody knows why they made this rule. But they made this rule that like you could no longer depict angels except for like the angel Gabriel. Man, and like two others. But I don't know. I can't look at my notes right now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Needless to say, Aziel was not one of those angels on this. Like, it's like a list of like 3 or 4, I think. I don't know. I know Gabriel's one of them because like you can't not have the angel Gabriel and stuff because he's the one who's like, yo, Mary, you gonna get knocked up. So yeah, Aziel does not make that list. Okay. But like the Vatican made that rule in Rome. This is South America. And so like it's not exactly clear if like they didn't get the message or they were like, no, or what. But like They didn't care. And so they make lots of angels. And they do it in this hilarious style. Um, Peru is a colony of Spain at this time. Um, and so the artists do this hilarious thing that they don't think is hilarious, but I think is hilarious, where they depict the angels like aristocratic Spaniards. And this is the kind of clothing they wore. This like ginormous puffy sleeve thing with like, and like the coat. And I don't know what the like hangy bits are, but these like hangy bits, and then the adorable shoes with the bows and the little tights with the bows at the knees. And it's just precious. And the big hat. And then do I have and then okay, so you can see his hat. Behind his hat, those are his wings, because he's an angel. The feathers are just really big. But if you think about it, like, should they actually be like bird feather sized? I don't know. You know, if a humanoid thing had wings, what size would the feathers be? So they don't always like strike you as wings right off the bat, I think. And then he's got this gun. And you're like, what? Here's his adorable shoes. So here's what's going on. This is after the Protestant Reformation. And after the Protestant Reformation, one of the big things that was happening within the, I guess, what we would now call the Catholic Church, was this idea of like angel warriors who would protect the church. Okay. And so people like really took that to heart and were like, give them guns. And I read an article recently in the past couple of years that was like, this is the equivalent of like drawing an angel right now with like an AK-47. Like this was like the most advanced kind of gun they had, the arquebus. That's what the angel with arquebus thing is. And like, you know, not everybody had this gun, right? Even people who like had guns, like they didn't have this one. And like, can you imagine? It would be really, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, maybe some people would love that. But yeah, that's what's going on here. So yeah, again, this is like a very bizarre, okay, maybe other people wouldn't consider it bizarre, but like I consider it bizarre due to like the colonization of this area, right? This would not have happened without that. You have these artists being taught these traditional techniques and styles of painting, but they like put their own spin on it, right? So they like don't listen to the Vatican and they draw whatever angels they want. And they're like, what would an angel look like? I bet it would look like those really fancy people who like came in here and took us over and that like are so powerful and we have to listen to, or they kill us. So I'm going to paint them like that. And then I'm going to give it this gun. So I find them hilarious. I have one other example of one. I have this one. But I know it's real, but like I found it on a Spanish website and I couldn't read it well enough / didn't feel like reading it well enough to read the, like for some reason it didn't just have like the artist and the title and stuff. But it is, I don't know why I didn't think of this. I'm guessing this angel's name is Salamiel Pax Dei, the peace of God. So I don't know who painted this or year, and I didn't feel like trying to read Spanish. So I don't know. But anyway, that's that piece, very quick. Oh God, this one's longer. Let's just do it. Let's just do it because your last lecture was short anyway, because I was feeling weird and didn't time it and ended up only being like 45 minutes. Okay. I'll do it quick. But we're back in Mexico City. All right, here it is. So this is a screen, okay, like a separated room kind of screen. It's one of two. I'll show you the other one. It's like the same image, but like it had two parts, so you could maybe like have a walkway between. Um, and this was made by this family, the Gonzalez family. They are like an indigenous family, and we could say like the circle of the, it's like, instead of saying circle, we could have said like workshop. But I don't know, we say circle. Oh my gosh. So on one side of the screen, the side we see right now, this is the hunting scene. And then on the other side, they have the the siege of Belgrade, which I don't really know anything about and don't have my notes open. So there it is. Okay. Oh, here's the other. Oh, so it does have two images. It has both sides. So this is the siege side. And then I think, oh no. Okay, so our half of it is in the Brooklyn Museum, and then the other one is in Mexico. So here's half of it. Okay. I just can't. I have so many questions. Like, did he really look like that? If he didn't, what happened to this painter? Oh no, something's wrong with the YouTube videos. I just got a message from one of you. Shit. Okay, so apparently some of the video are being filtered on YouTube. It's probably because, so when I make a YouTube video, well, how do you know? Because you can't watch them. No, you can watch this at home. When you make YouTube videos, you have to say if it's made for kids or not. And I have a feeling that's part of it, because I swear in these. And so I can't say that it's made for kids. Even though like you kind of are kids. But you know, like we wouldn't want like, also like some of the topics are rough. So I can talk to, so that's the thing, like since it's my school account, it shouldn't get, I'll talk to Mr. Schulte, because that's not okay. There might be a way for us to get around it. Okay. Okay. I'll look into it. Figure it out. Okay. Anyway, was this painter killed? When this was done, if he didn't look like that. Oh, anyway, so this is the viceroy at the time of New Spain, and he had this thing made, and I think he looks hilarious. Okay, so what's all this? This is the earth. Okay, so you've got New Spain there in the middle, which is owned at the time by Spain. Ooh, my neck. Oh, I can like feel like a vertebrae out of place, like pinching a nerve. Ooh, okay, anyway, why do I care about Japan and the Philippines? Well, because the Philippines at the time was like a big sort of hub of importing, exporting. And so a lot of stuff would come like, you know, from, by irony, from the east to the west, even to New Spain. And some of those things were actually coming from Japan. This is back still though, when Japan was like, get the fuck away from us. Like, you can't come in here. You can't take our stuff. But like stuff was coming in, and people were taking stuff. And so like stuff would go from Japan to the Philippines to the New World, to New Spain, I guess the New World. But stuff was also coming from Spain to New Spain. So like we really got cross-cultural connections going on. Because especially just things like a screen, that's very, very Japanese. So even just like the main form of this thing, idea imported from Japan. Then we've got these three terms. They like make a word in Spanish, biombo. I don't know if I'm saying it right or not. Biombo, whatever, which means folding screen, which comes from the actual Japanese word biombu, I don't know, which means folding screen. And then this isn't related to those other two words, but there's this term, enconchados, which means shell inlay. And we have two pieces with this shell inlay, and that word is Spanish. And so they have this like beautiful shell inlay going on here. Okay, great. But then, oh, hi, Bert. Bert, don't do it. Bert. Trying to teach her not to the carpet. I have a million little scratchy pads. She just wants to do the carpet. She knows better too. When she does it, she looks at me. I'm like, I know you know not to do it. You're waiting for me to. She's a problem child. No, she's not. In Japan, they had this technique of making these black lacquer things. Here's a box, but they would use this black lacquer on all kinds of things. And it's just like, I don't know how they make it. But it's this like high gloss, deep, dark black, really amazing. And they're even, it doesn't look as good in these photographs, but like the bottom archy parts, that's black lacquer. So they're getting all kinds, they're getting, just the idea of screens, they're getting this black lacquer. The enconchados, the shell inlay, I think that is a indigenous thing of Mexico. And like you can see here, I wish I had the laser pointer, I'm really sorry. But there are a couple of spots where it kind of looks shiny almost. You can actually see it on one of the towers. Like if you you've got like the first part of the screen and then it not curves, but then it thing. So you have 4 parts of the screen going from the right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. There's a tower close to the right side of number 3, close to like the little flowery bits. And in that tower, there's like this kind of white spot. That's like mother of pearl. That's the enconchados. And then like kind of straight above the flowers, you can see some kind of like shiny iridescence. That's also shell inlay. You can kind of see some more. It's like the mother of pearly bits. And they do it very like almost haphazardly, just like kind of all over the place. So, okay, now we'll just kind of look at it. It's fun. So here's an engraving of the battle. Because like, how do they know about the Battle of Belgrade, right, in New Spain? Well, they see an engraving. This engraving is based on a tapestry that was somewhere in Spain or something like that. So they, have something to work off of. God, every year I'm like, where the fuck is Belgrade? And it's in my notes. But this is basically a war between, I think, the Ottomans and wherever Belgrade is. Bert, where's Belgrade? I don't know. For some reason, I want to say it's Serbia. I don't know why. If that's wrong, like really wrong, let's just all laugh about it and think about how I'm kind of dumb. But anyway, it's a big battle. Here again, you can see like the shell inlay. It's not like, oh, let's do like this window shell inlay or like this section of a, like this floor of a building. It's just like thrown in there. I think it's very cool. Is the perspective perfect? No. Does it really matter? No. I actually kind of like it because I think it adds to like the frenziedness, like the not being so perfect elements of this, like add to the craziness. Cause like it's a freaking battle. Like, look, there's dead people getting tossed over the wall there. That guy at the bottom has his head cut off. Over on the right side, there are heads on spikes. No crazy battle. But the style here is really quite unique to this cross-culturally, like cross-culture-y Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Look at that little baby who does not seem to know what's going on. He's like, hey. Okay. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We already saw that part. It's just craziness. Crazy battle. I straight up don't know anything about this battle. Where's Belgrade? Should have looked before we did this. Seems to be a port city. Hey Siri, where's Belgrade? It is in Serbia. Ah, cool. You guys, I knew it. Hey Siri, when was the siege of Belgrade? Let's find out. It was okay after the fall of Constantinople, the Ottoman. I don't know. Okay, whatever. I can't believe I knew it was in Serbia. I didn't know. I was really unsure. Okay, let's keep going. Blah 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 blah. Now the hunting side. Oh, this one has the tapestry. Sorry. The other one we just had the engraving. This one has the tapestry, an engraving based on a tapestry. Okay, sorry. But they still had the engraving. They had engravings for both of what they should be looking at or making. One had a tapestry, the other didn't. Okay. So here's the hunting side. Again, especially having been watching Downton Abbey, this is like a very like European style hunt, right? Except like you'll see it gets pretty funny because like this is, Central America. So I think there's like a jaguar in here. Here's a nice little garland. Oh, do I show you garlands? Yeah. I don't think we need, I think I was grasping at straws here with Ukrainia. Let's not worry about it. Okay. Beautiful little garlands. So nice. Basically, really what you have to know is that garlands are like a very old tradition going all the way back to the Romans. Okay. Except the Romans would also have cow skulls. Okay. Oh, what a pretty tree. How pretty. Oh, right. It's like, oh, we are going on a set the fox. No, get the, I don't know. Set loose the hounds and have tea ready when we shall return. Can't do a British accent. But like that's a jaguar. Right? Like that's not what you're gonna find in the English countryside. There's even a part where's the guy getting mauled? I mean, that guy's getting mauled by a jaguar, but there's another guy getting mauled by a jaguar. That guy. So I love it. They have this like idea of a hunt, and they're like, well, what would they be hunting? Jaguars. Just love it. Again, we have these little like splashes of the mother of pearl throughout. Real cute, real nice. There's some like weird goats. Love it. Okay, so even with the like jaguar maulings, the hunting side is a lot tamer than the like chopped off heads and stuff of the siege of Belgrade. So what would happen was the viceroy, right, who had this thing made and had it in his little palacey thing, they would have this set up and like you know how like in Downton Abbey, no, you know how like after dinner it would be like, oh, the women shall go through and the men shall smoke cigars and drink brandy or whatever. So they would do that, but they would kind of do it in the same room and just like set up a screen. And so the women would sit on the side with the hunting scene because it's a little less horrifying to look at, and the men would sit on the side with the battle. And it turns out the women would drink hot chocolate, but like disgusting, like just like straight up like cocoa beans, like mushed up, not like Nestle. So don't be like, oh, cute, like it's disgusting. If you're not adding a crap ton of sugar and milk to chocolate, it's not chocolate. I mean, it is chocolate, isn't it? So anyway, they would drink hot chocolate. There's the other side. Cute. We'll do Virgin of Guadalupe next time. Okay, I'm going to email Mr. Schulte, try to figure out why the fuck you guys can't watch the lectures at school. Let's pick it. No, we won't pick another word. Okay. Bye.